Spoiled is not the word. So the only way I can leave the house without making a big fuss and saying, "You're going to play with other doggies and not me," is by doing my cookie trick. So Mickey, sit. Wait. 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 Please wait. 1, 2, 3. Go find the cookies! Okay, so there's problems with every technique, and the problem with the cookie technique is more often than not, I leave the house, give the cookies, and I've forgotten my keys, or my iPhone, or my guitar, or my book. So sometimes I have to come back once, twice, 3 times, and each time I gotta do the cookie things again. Did he find all the cookies? You are very smart. Anybody help you, or you did it all yourself?
Ellie is he's an interesting guy. He's inquisitive.
He has this gift of getting along with everybody, really.
He never stops talking and asking questions.
Generous to a fault, really. I mean, to a fault.
He's the best storyteller that I know of.
Ellie. How do you describe
him?
Ellie Rubenstein. Just that's it. He's the rock star uncle.
Ellie, he sets the bar really, really high.
He is a person without borders, Ellie is. That is who Ellie Rubenstein is.
Come on, heel, heel, heel. Hi, how are you? Good, good, good. Come on, let's go.
He was always a very happy-go-lucky child. He wouldn't walk, he would always be skipping along. Yeah, that's Ellie. He was about 10 years old when my mother passed away. I flew home for the funeral. When I got home, the children were asleep, and in the morning, I heard him come into my bedroom, and I pretended I was still sleeping, and he kissed me on the forehead. It just showed his feeling for me, what I was going through, even at such a young age. That's Ellie.
The first time I saw Ellie Rubenstein was in yeshiva, and I remember walking into his room, and there he was lying on his bed, sort of like a cot as you might find in prison, and his feet were out the window. When he was in yeshiva, he really was considered to be one of the brightest yeshiva bochurim.
He loved to learn. He always devoured books. He was a very bright student, although he spent a lot of time in the hall with a couple of other boys. I guess things were too slow in the classroom.
Ellie was Orthodox from birth, and so was I. He does come from this world which is made up of an awful lot of rules, and he moved towards a world which is not as constricting.
Well, it was against our wishes, but Ellie could always talk us into anything that he wanted.
Ellie wanted to spend a lot more time on less minutia, on life, if you will. And you'll see when Ellie's in front of the synagogue, people are part of the services. They're praying, they're thinking, they're wondering. They're really being led by Ellie and his stories. And everybody's welcome. I mean, everybody's welcome, really.
I'd heard about Ellie from a lot of people, but I never really had the opportunity to meet him until I was asked to chair the March of the Living, the 1996 March of the Living. And my first really experience with Ellie was at a Shabbaton at Camp George, where we went together, and I really got a full Ellie. We were there in a snowstorm, and we needed a projector. So Ellie, and only the way Ellie can, took me in the snowstorm in his Jeep, and we drove through the town where we were, and he knocked on the door of the Reeve, of that town and said, hello, we are two Jews that are taking a group of young people to Poland, and we need to know if you have a projector that we can show a film on. And that was my first real encounter with Ellie.
Before I really knew him, he was just constantly, giving me things to do, work, and do, and it can be done. And, I would tell him things like, the printer isn't going to be ready in time. It's never going to get done. He says, of course it'll get done. I mean, there's just no barrier in front of him. If it's physically and humanly possible, then it's going to get done. Ellie doesn't take no for an answer.
We wanted to have a dinner, for a Shabbat dinner, at the Hotel Europejski in Warsaw, and we were told that it held a certain amount of people. And of course, when we went to talk to the hotel management, they said no, only standing it holds a certain amount of people, not sitting. And we sort of plotted out with them where the tables would be and how many kids we were going to have, and they kept saying no. Now, I would have walked out a long time before Ellie did, but he finally got them actually to say yes, and it turned out to be probably one of the most amazing events on that March of the Living. He always has at heart the interest of the young people in Poland to make it the best possible program that it could be for them, and he will not accept no for an answer.
Ellie, he's the heart and soul of the March of the Living. He's the one that does all the ceremonies. He writes all the speeches.
Students flock to hear him. He combines humor and music and storytelling and religious moments into one total experience. When he tells some of my stories, it gives me goosebumps because the way he tells it and the essence that he puts into the story.
He really believes that when you liberate the ghosts from the past, that you have an obligation, we each have an obligation to carry forward their stories.
I went to Belzec for the first time. My mother is there, and most of my family is there. It's painful, but it was an amazing experience.
In Israel, we went to visit the destroyed communities of Europe, and we stopped at the wall that says Debrecen, the hometown where I came from. And that hit me like, it's almost like being back in Debrecen. It was all Ellie's idea to do this, you see. As I learned later on, I was taken aback. Ellie told me, he says, I wanted you to feel the impact of the death camps and in Israel, and he was bringing it all together. And so that was very, very memorable for me, the whole thing.
We had seen Auschwitz, we had seen Treblinka, and it was our Shabbat in Poland. And for Havdalah that night, we turned off all the lights, and all you could see were these candles, and we were all singing, and the voices filled the room, and that to me just symbolized hope in its purest and just most raw form, and that moment said it for me.
I've learned a tremendous amount from being around Ellie, and I think that what I've learned is from him is how you can take something that is potentially so tragic and so negative and turn it into a positive. And I think that's what Ellie does. The March of the Living would never be the experience that it is for so many. There's thousands and thousands of young people of all faiths that he has directly influenced. And their lives will never be the same because they've met Ellie Rubenstein.
One of the most extraordinary and special things about Ellie is that he's there for you and for anybody, even if it's a stranger on the street, in the most incredible ways.
He really has gone very, very far to take care of people.
I lost 3 sons, and Ellie was at every one of my sons' funerals. Ellie was there for me all the time, talking to me even though we have different religions.
I know things that Ellie has done almost by happenstance. It's come up in conversation, or I'll be at his house and I'll sort of catch a glimpse of an email or a letter or something, somebody who he's helped out in God knows where, paying somebody's bill.
When I look at him and when I see what he's done, it gives me hope that we can make this world a better place.
If you want something of his, he'll just give it to you. And he doesn't have those boundaries, you know, mine and yours. It's all ours. He's very communal.
Most tremendous environments that I've seen Ellie in, and which I really enjoy watching Ellie in, is when we go to his cottage up on Christian Island. And forever's watching this, you've been at his cottage, no doubt, because it should be called a motel. I mean, everybody's there.
He saw it as something to share and bring people together and share the joy of what he loves about it.
When he's up at his cottage, you know, sometimes he'll tell me, he goes, Alvin, you gotta go swimming, man. You gotta go swimming at night, right? And when I'm there, I'll look out and I'll see all the stars, and the moon will be out, and it'll be casting its light. It'll be, you know, its light will be on the lake or the river behind his cottage, and he'll be swimming, you know, with the fish, and he'll come out and he'll just be so invigorated and so happy, you know, that he's done that.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the We're all standing at the edge of a cliff. We're too afraid to take the leap. And we need to take the leap to the other side. So we all have leaps of faith in our lives that specifically speak to us. In other words, I can't prove any of this, but this is the way I'm going to live my life. So everyone's meaning is different. My 3 leaps of faith are as follows. Life is meaningful. We should never be cynical about life. There is a point to us being here. Second leap of faith is, this is a beautiful world, a planet with all sorts of incredible things to enjoy in a healthy, positive kind of way. That is my second leap of faith. Well, the third leap of faith is for me is to do acts of kindness and compassion and goodness for other people. Because in my experience, the happiest people in life are people who help others, who give to others. Because that's what's going to last. You can own a physical object for an entire lifetime, it's not really yours. But if you do a good deed, that lives forever.